On September 30th, 1999, at a Tokaimura nuclear fuel plant in Japan, Hisashi Ouchi, aged 35, and two colleagues were refining uranium oxide for research reactor fuel rods. Ouchi stood beside a tank with a funnel, while his colleague, Masato Shinohara, poured intermediate enriched uranium oxide from a bucket into it. Suddenly, they were startled by a flash of blue light, the first sign that something terrible was about to happen. Inexperienced with such highly enriched uranium, the workers unintentionally added an excessive amount to the tank. Consequently, their actions unintentionally led to the occurrence of what is termed a criticality incident within the nuclear sector, which involved the uncontrolled release of radiation due to a nuclear chain reaction. Ouchi, who found himself in the immediate vicinity of the nuclear reaction, endured what was likely one of the most extensive radiation exposures ever recorded in the annals of nuclear accidents. His impending ordeal was a harrowing testament that would serve as a stark reminder of the dangers associated with the atomic age. The two workers quickly left the room. But even so, the damage already had been done. Ouchi, who was closest to the reaction, had received a massive dose of radiation. Masashi Kanamori from the Japan Atomic Energy Agency estimated the radiation exposure for Masashi Kanamori at approximately 16 to 25 gray equivalents, whereas Shinohara, who was situated about 18 inches from the source, received a somewhat lower but still severely damaging dose of around 6 to 9 GIEC. A third individual, who was positioned farther away, experienced a considerably lower level of radiation exposure. The radiation dose resulting from a criticality accident can be even more severe than that in a catastrophic incident at a nuclear power plant, such as the 1986 reactor explosion at Chernobyl in Ukraine, which was then a part of the Soviet Union, and where radiation was dispersed. Elevated levels of radiation inflict harm to the body, disrupting its capacity to generate new cells. Consequently, functions like the bone marrow's ability to produce red blood cells responsible for oxygen transport and white blood cells that combat infections are severely impaired. The irradiated workers were transported to the National Institute of Radiological Sciences in Chiba, located to the east of Tokyo. It was at this facility that medical professionals observed that their lymphatic blood count had plummeted to nearly negligible levels. The symptoms they displayed encompassed nausea, dehydration, and diarrhea. Subsequently, 3 days later, they were relocated to the University of Tokyo Hospital, where medical professionals employed a range of measures in a frantic attempt to preserve their lives. Upon Ouchi's arrival at the hospital, he, a strikingly handsome and robust individual, and a former high school rugby player with a wife and young son, did not yet exhibit the physical characteristics of someone who had been subjected to significant radiation exposure. Although his face appeared mildly red and swollen, and his eyes were bloodshot, Ouchi did not display any blisters or burns. However, he did express discomfort in his ears and hand. The doctor who examined him even thought that it might be possible to save his life. Within a day, Ouchi's health deteriorated significantly. He started needing oxygen support, and his abdomen became swollen. Unfortunately, his condition continued to worsen after his transfer to the University of Tokyo Hospital. 6 days after the accident, a specialist who looked at images of the chromosomes in Ouchi's bone marrow cells saw only scattered black dots, indicating that they were broken into pieces. 1 week after the accident, Ouchi underwent a peripheral blood stem cell transplant, and his sister selflessly volunteered as the donor. Nonetheless, Ouchi's condition continued to worsen, as reported. He began experiencing extreme thirst, and when medical tape was removed from his chest, his skin started peeling off along with it. Blisters began to form on his skin. Test results indicated that the radiation had destroyed the chromosomes responsible for enabling his skin to regenerate, leading to the gradual disappearance of his epidermis, the protective outer layer of his body. The pain he endured intensified, and he also started encountering respiratory difficulties. 2 weeks following the accident, he lost the ability to eat and had to rely on intravenous feeding. 2 months into his ordeal, his heart stopped, though doctors were able to revive him. On December 21st at 11:21 p.m., Ouchi's body ultimately gave in, and he passed away due to multiple organ failure. Shinohara, Ouchi's co-worker, died in April 2000 of multiple organ failure as well. 6 individuals from the company responsible for operating the plant faced charges of professional negligence and the violation of nuclear safety laws. In 2003, a court handed down suspended prison sentences to these individuals, and both the company and at least one of the officials were also fined. The Tokai Mura criticality accident was a tragic event that exposed the risks and dangers associated with nuclear facilities and the importance of stringent safety measures. Ouchi's suffering and eventual death brought attention to the need for better preparedness and ethical guidelines for dealing with severe radiation exposure incidents.